Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man, Andrew Reiner.
Yes.
You wrote the cover story for this game. You hosted a panel at E3. You have covered this game exhaustively, every nook and cranny of this thing.
Yeah.
And now you've played even more of it.
Yeah, and this is the last I'll play, I'm told, until the game comes out on September 7th.
So what did you play?
I played 4 hours of the game, which is, if I just stayed on the critical path, would it be roughly 2 hours, they said. And it's from the beginning of the game. So from booting up the game from the PlayStation, home screen, going through the copyrights, there's a new Insomniac logo that involves webbing. I'll just leave it at that, everyone. Big spoiler.
I love a good new logo.
We're just throwing out all the spoilers here.
Uh-huh.
The Marvel scroll that actually has like the comic pages.
Does it really?
It does.
Well, does it? So it has because the old movies had the comic pages, which was great, and then when they redesigned it to put the actors in there, slightly less engine.
I didn't like it as cool.
Yeah,
as much.
I also didn't like it as cool, but the game has just the comic book characters. That's very
just
cool.
the comic
Best way to go.
pages. Yeah, it's very old school. And then I fell asleep for 6 hours and I didn't see anything else. So that's
perfect.
all I got.
Okay, well, it sounds like a good
That's a
journey.
bummer.
Okay, so what did you learn? What's new? Please give us details here.
So what's new outside of the cover story, which we ran in May? That was the demo that was at E3. That demo is now looking very vertical slicey. Basically, it seems like it was maybe staged to show off certain things, certain city activities, and then it culminates in you taking down Shocker in that boss fight.
People hearing that are going to say, oh, so the game's been downgraded.
No. It's basically just like kind of their proof of concept sandbox, like go do city activities. But the way they roll out on the critical path is very different than I thought it would be. All of it is sewn into that path. So you start out, you do like a story mission. You're going to take down Kingpin. That's how the game begins.
Okay.
Spider-Man is 5 years in his prime.
And
he's been doing this a while.
He's got the old suit.
And a beer belly. Yeah. It's really weird.
It's basically Mr. Incredible. Yeah.
It's a weird decision on their part. But yeah, he's a proven hero of the city. He's been...
Or is he a menace?
He's been... we'll get into that. He's been battling Kingpin for a while. And he finally takes him down in this first mission. And like God of War games, where you are taking on a big boss at the beginning, where it's like just seriously like just two huge gods battling each other, it has that kind of feel to it in this boss fight, where you are knocking each other through walls, through ceilings, floors. It is a spectacle and a half when you take on Kingpin.
Okay, hang on. This is a high bar. I mean, you say God of War games in general. Are you comparing it to being on the quality level that is the Stranger fight from the new God of War, which is...
It's not that big where the earth is actually like cracking under your feet, but Fist Tower is being destroyed as you are throwing each other around in it. So yeah, I mean, quality-wise, in terms of production values, maybe, yeah.
Really?
Like, I mean, it is a polished, beautiful-looking game, and it's super fun to play.
Shouldn't Spider-Man just like punch Kingpin once in the head and his neck would snap?
No, or you could just web him and throw him off the building.
Yeah, what is taking so long? I don't get
it.
He's just a big fat guy, right?
Yeah, he's surprisingly strong.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Did you not watch the Daredevil show?
I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
He
decapitates a Russian with a car door.
Oh, wait. Maybe
show.
I did watch more. I did see that scene. Yeah. Okay. But still, not against Spider-Man, who, as Ben Reeves told me, is the second strongest in the Marvel Universe. Something
next
absurd
to
like
me,
that.
yes.
Right.
Who's number one, actually?
I just said me.
Not you. No.
Who's not? I don't know. I mean, there's basically they
Thor?
have their version of God, right? I mean, Hulk is traditionally very strong.
All right.
But if you get into the cosmic universe, like it's
Ben, you don't know what you're talking about.
Galactus and whatnot.
On Earth, though, Spider-Man's top 3?
No. I mean, he's strong, but he's like, compared to a normal man, very strong, but like not. When you're talking about like Hulk and Thor, like those guys are way stronger.
Okay, well now your story's for the holes. Anyway, so you take out Kingpin early on.
Yeah.
He goes to jail.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, the open world, New York City's open to you, right? Like you can go web swing wherever you want. But when you look at your map, it's all static. It's fog of war. Like you need to go around the city and find these surveillance towers on top of buildings to link them up to Peter's phone, and then he can kind of send out a pulse to scan the area, and that starts showing you the side activities, little things you can do.
So it feels Ubisoft-y.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, yes, it's very much like Assassin's Creed, where there are these points of interest around the city, which is sizable, that you web swing up to show you things to do. But even at that early stage in the game, once you do that, it's not like Assassin's Creed where you see all the side stuff. You have to unlock that stuff along the critical path. And they do a really nice job of like sewing in like finding your first backpack, taking down your first city crime. And they all have really nice cutscenes and little story beats tied into them. A really nice flow. And once you do one, then they start populating across the map. But by hour 4 in the game, I still haven't seen a lot of the stuff, those side activities that were in that E3 demo.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do the side activities seem like they're going to be fun to play multiple times?
That's one of my big questions right now is their staying power. They did say that as the game goes on and new characters are introduced and new things happen in the story, that they'll change. So there'll be new ones introduced. So that I like that answer on their part. But of the city crimes I did, they're very quick. You know, they don't last long. They are repetitive in terms of this one's a storefront. Next one I go to, it's a storefront, but it turns out one of the guys is next to a car and it turns into a getaway. So it kind of morphs.
Okay. And I just looked at a lot of the footage and just seeing Spider-Man riding on top of that car trying to take him out. It looks very, very cool.
Yeah.
Rather than just like run after this car.
That's what I'm saying. It looks beautiful. That's kind of a quick timey event. You know, not the most exciting gameplay. The moment itself is exciting, but you know, it's probably one of the easier things you end up doing in the game. But the way the story unfolds, I thought was probably the biggest takeaway for me that I was surprised by. In our cover story, they said that it's as much Peter's story as it is Spider-Man's.
Right.
And that's true in comics a lot of the times, but video games, the Batman games don't really focus on Bruce at all. You know, like that's an answer. I was like, yeah, he might be in a couple cutscenes, but I doubt they're really going to focus on Peter.
That just means Aunt May is going to be caught by some villain at some point.
Yeah,
be like, oh God, you know.
Yeah, you know, someone he knows is put in jeopardy. But no, that's not the case. They actually do really slow things down. You experience a day in the life of Peter as he goes to work at a lab for an employer. I will not spoil. This is a big reveal in the game. But as you're in the lab, you're wearing the lab coat. You can freely walk around it. It looks like a really lived-in place. They even have like a little weight room, like a corner of the lab is just like a running machine, a treadmill, and then like a bunch of weights that people are lifting. But you can kind of look around. There's details everywhere.
It feels like a Quantic Dream game, like sliding into the middle of this Sunset Overdrive game.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. There's tape recorders you could pick up and listen to like people talking about the work they're doing there, or the work, you know, how great Peter is at his job, stuff like that. So there's, you know, their universe building there, but then you actually do science.
What?
Yeah. So the first one you do is you pick up this circuit board and you have to connect the servo link. So it's basically like there's a start and an end and both have like static on them. And then there's like a grid and you have to figure out with a set amount of pieces that you have how to make the link. And it's kind of cool because some of the pieces will be like, yeah, kind of like it's a mini game that you do.
Okay.
But you get research tokens for that when you complete them, and research tokens can be used to purchase new abilities, powers, mods for your suits themselves. So you're going to want to come back here as the game goes on
and do more mini games.
And then there's another one that involves the spectrometer. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's basically like you're looking at waveforms that are kind of in a slide form in the game with different lines on them. And they're spaced at different intervals. And you have to figure out, there's one at the top that you need all of the lines below it to match. So you'll have like 3 sides below it, and you have to figure out with a set amount of pieces how to line up those lines to reveal like the polymer that he's working on, or, you know, like it gets really techy, but it's like, okay, this is a moment where you are being Peter as just Peter, right? And the mini games are pretty fun. I think Insomniac's always had decent mini games in their Ratchet games. And these kind of follow suit. And the story stuff that happens around that is really interesting. And it's really slow moving, but they are doing a good job of building the universe.
Yeah, on that same note, one of the things that I was curious about when the game was first announced, my big concern was like, okay, how is this game going to, you know, make itself different in the wake of like Arkham? I feel like that was the big question. I don't think I was alone in that. And what I noticed while watching, you know, sort of the footage in like our coverage during the cover story was the civilians throughout the world. Like in Arkham, it's always sparse. There's always some narrative excuse, like Batman's just fighting criminals on these bare streets.
It's too cold during Christmas. No one's outside.
Yeah.
So silly.
But in Spider-Man, like, did you interact with the civilians any? Because you said that like you could take pictures with them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, does it feel like a world that you inhabit?
Oh, yeah.
Like
So,
walking around.
After you take down Kingpin, you want to celebrate. Like Spidey's like, I did it. I finally did this after 5 years. I want to celebrate. He wants to do that with Aunt May. And he tracks her down at Feast. She works at Feast for Martin Lee, who's running the shelter.
And he's Mr. Negative.
Correct.
Okay.
You don't know that at this point. He's just this
Gotcha.
really nice guy.
Forget you learned that.
Correct. So you go in there and Feast, and you can freely walk around this space, and it's huge. It's 2 stories. There's a lot of things. Again, just like his lab, a lot of things to see and do in there. There's like a TV playing the news. You could sit and listen to it. There's a newscaster telling you about like what's going on in the city.
And it's like a different animation set. You can't like just shoot a web anywhere.
No.
It's like you're locked into Peter mode.
For passage of time, they always have him in different outfits. So now he's wearing like a different shirt and pants and all that stuff. And that changes throughout the game. I don't know how many he wears in total. I think it's 2 weeks. So you might have 2 weeks worth of clothing, which is kind of a cool touch, right?
Look forward to it.
But as you're walking through Feast, they wanted this place to feel like it's like a real place. And since Peter goes there a lot of the people that work there or are using the shelter know Pete. So they'll be taking a sip from a soda and they'll be like, oh, hey, Pete, and then they'll have a conversation with him. And you're walking through this place and it's filled with people and they all want to have interaction with you, which is really cool.
I'm excited for this aspect.
Yeah.
It seems cool.
And there's more. Like you go upstairs into Aunt May's office and behind her is this wall filled with like children's drawings. And there's little touches where you can interact with all that stuff. And you find out like Pete made all these drawings when he was young and she's been hanging them up and saving them.
Oh, that's cute.
But these are just optional things. You never have to look at that. Some players may never even know you can go upstairs there if you don't take the time to just explore.
Do you think this aspect? I think this sounds cool. Is this aspect interesting for people who just want to play like an action game?
I wonder
Or just like,
about that
I just want a
crowd.
superhero game.
Totally.
What is all this like dumb Peter stuff?
It kind of.
Who is this idiot?
Yeah.
I think they really looked closely at the Uncharted games and those moments in those games where it's just like letting the characters just be characters and be real people is part of what it makes those games so successful. It's not just the production values. It's not like, just the world falling apart as Nathan's jumping around. You get to know these characters very well and you care about those relationships. So they are really building that up here.
And that's great. I just wonder with Reeves if there are people who just see these amazing shots of Spider-Man swinging through the crowd in the town and everything, and then they buy the game and it's like walking around a lab doing mini games.
I mean,
Like, what
that
the
moment
hell?
like lasted for a while. Like that's not something you can just breeze through. You have to at least do one of these mini games a couple of times. And there is by the way, there is a skip button on the puzzles if you can't figure them out. So yeah, you could just be like, all right, I'm done with these.
Perfect.
I don't know if you'll get the tokens if you do
Okay,
that,
yeah.
but you can just say, peace out, I'm going to go be the web slinger.
What about the exciting web slinging? Anything new or surprising in the actions or anything like that?
So they were telling us all along there's no charge jump in the game. People wanted it from Spider-Man 2. That's
What
where
is
you
that?
can like crouch down
Hold down the button and then you
and
jump
then
higher.
he launches higher in the air.
Okay.
They're like, no, we have a sprint button and you just jump and you can web swing right after that. Well, one of the upgrade paths, which is web slinger, is the third tier down. So this will be maybe mid game you get it, is the charge jump. So they listened to the community and put this thing in there, which I think is very cool. Another thing people really requested was being able to do tricks as you're web swinging. If you're just doing it and hitting R2 just to throw out a new web, he'll be spinning around doing things. But you can get, one of your upgrades you can get is tricks. So you hold down, I think it's triangle and X. I don't remember the exact buttons, but you hold down the buttons at the same time and he'll start performing different tricks like moonsaults and stuff like that.
Moonsaults?
Yeah, like the backflip kind of thing. But he's like getting experience points as you're doing that. So it almost kind of turns into a like an SSX or a Tony Hawk where as you throw out a line, you start doing tricks in the air to kind of mine experience. You're not getting a lot of experience points. It's like 2 points or 10 points.
Okay.
But that'll add up if you're swinging, 3,000 clicks across the city.
It looks better than like just jumping up and down constantly in Skyrim though too. Where you're just walking all over the place. Like at least
They should
Spider-Man's
add
flying
tricks
through
to
the
that
air.
where
Yeah.
you're like flipping across the
They really
terrain.
should.
Yeah, I think they definitely need it.
So yeah, that was really fun. The depth there was pretty cool to see, like, there's stuff at like level 50 that you're unlocking. And at the end of my demo, I think I hit level 7. And that's a new thing too. Like, as you level up, there are set boosts that you get per level. So you might get like a 10% experience or 10% extra health, or you might do more damage in melee, stuff like that. So that's exciting on its own. Like, just leveling up, you're like, ooh, what am I going to get? You know, that's something you won't learn until you actually like ding, and then you're like, oh, sweet.
Right.
I'm more powerful now.
So overall, are you feeling more excited?
Oh, yeah.
Is it about what you expected, but it still just seems rock solid?
Yeah, you know, looking back at what we saw in May or April for the cover story, we were really excited, and it was like, that's proof of concept. You know, like, that is their vision. Now we just need to see how it's all stitched together, and I got a good taste of that in this extended play session for like 4 hours. And man, I walked out of there just kind of like the same enthusiasm I had for the Arkham games. Like, I want to see where this story goes. Like, I was really latched on to the narrative as much as the gameplay.
Yeah.
Just because there are some big mysteries, some big bad things going on in the city.
Well, I guess we haven't talked about the overall mysteries. And like, they released that story trailer at Comic-Con where they show, help me out, the lady in white.
Silver Sable.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is it implied that she was the mysterious figure at the end of the E3 demo where Peter looks at the glowing person? He's like, oh, what are you doing here?
No.
That's not.
No.
Did you get up to that point?
I know who it is.
What?
Do you get up to that point, though, of like the jail?
No.
Okay.
Like, seriously, like, I had one boss fight, unlocked, 3 to 4 activities, but there's still so much to go. Like, just, I mean, I don't even know. I can't even like ballpark how big this game's going to be. They basically said I played through the first act. But even on its own, it's like, what does that mean? How many acts are there?
Right. Well, the leveling you were talking about, that might give some
50.
hints.
Yeah,
right?
that's the cap. I don't know if that's like they want people, again, like, do they want people to hit that as they play through the game the first time? There's 3 difficulty levels. I don't know if you're going to go back in or just mine experience to hit those levels.
Yeah.
But,
Did anything strike you from seeing that Comic-Con trailer, Reeves? Did you look at that one?
As
As a resident spider nut?
I avoided that trailer, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I was because I just had the opportunity. Like, I was excited about this cover story, but I missed out on it. And Renner did an awesome job. But since I didn't go super deep on that, like, I was like, I might just stay away from this because I know I'm going to play the game.
Yeah.
And I know it looks exciting. So I've caught in bits and pieces and
You've caught in bits.
bits and pieces. Yes,
Got
you
it.
know,
you guys want to know
come
something
out in
else?
bits and burts, and I've enjoyed it. But yeah,
I don't know if we want to interrupt Reeves. He's really on a roll here,
Look,
right?
I'm on a roll. But yeah, this game looks awesome, and I'm excited because I feel like Insomniac hasn't had like a huge hit in a while. I feel like they've been a really consistent, awesome studio, and I like their output, but feels like they haven't had a huge.
They did a lot of VR stuff.
Yeah, that's still
Sunset was really good. But
Sunset was a really
nobody
good
played
game,
it.
but it wasn't a huge hit. Right.
But think of like this year in particular with Spider-Man looking very promising, and then like the Spyro remaster re-release like within that same window, both in September. It's like September is Insomniac's month.
That's right.
Man. It's
They're going to
crazy.
make me an Insomniac, right?
Renner, you were teasing that you know something super cool.
I played as Mary Jane Watson.
Oh,
for a
interesting.
sequence.
And
Yeah.
was that cool?
It is.
Because they kept teasing, like, people are going to be surprised by her.
Yeah, so she, as our cover story said, was...
Does it turn out she's blonde? Is that why it's surprising?
That's it, yeah. Reeves, you're throwing me off, man. She's undercover, or not undercover, she's an investigative reporter. She's kind of undercover in the sequence that you're playing where she's pretending she's someone else. I don't want to give away the whole context of this thing, but you're at the estate sale for Fisk, for Kingpin. So basically they're selling off his stuff.
And Spider-Man wants a couch, or what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He's there to get that love seat for him and Mary Jane.
Very cute.
No, you're in there and as Mary Jane, and you're supposed to be doing this fluff piece on the sale, and the curator's walking you through it, and you're taking photos of stuff, and she's like commenting on everything like she's seeing, which is really neat. So you're like just walking around with the camera, taking photos, pretending you're doing the story, but you're actually looking for something else.
And she's the Professor Oak in Pokemon Snap?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Like 6,000 points. No, she ends up, something happens and Martin Lee's people show up, and this is the first time you see them. And they want something here too. And they, unlike Mary Jane, are doing this at gunpoint. So they're walking around just like, we're going to break everything. We're going to find this thing. At which point Mary Jane sneaks off and it becomes a stealth mission. where you're ducking behind, Fisk's items, and the stealth actually works really well. Like enemies have the meter above their head that starts filling up.
Okay.
They'll come investigate. They have different patterns. But the cool thing is the sprint button still works as you're ducking and sneaking, so you can quickly maneuver around the environment. It's really silky smooth.
So is it implied that all of Mary Jane's gameplay is going to be stealth focused, or in theory it's going to be a lot of like just walking around saying hi to people like Peter Parker segments?
I got two things from that. Like, yeah, they could lean on that a lot, but I also got there's a really cool puzzle I did in this moment that involved item and manipulation, where I'm grabbing stuff in the environment and trying to assemble something the right way. It's very cool. And again, production values through the roof in the level of detail of the object you're putting together and just the environment itself. Like there's stuff everywhere in there. But it could also lean on that too, right? Like where it could be very much like she's sleuthing for clues or, trying to piece something together. So it could be both. And both elements I thought were very cool.
Yeah. September 7th. We should look forward to it.
It's under 30 days, around there, 30 plus days.
Wow. JB, you gonna play this thing?
Yes, I'm super excited. Like Reeves, I've sort of avoided like the trailers and stuff because I used to be really big into Spider-Man when I was a kid, mostly.
Just cartoon?
Yeah, just the Saturday morning cartoon and some of the comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been avoiding story stuff because I'm excited for this game.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. 36 days. That's
36 days.
Yeah.
Any concern about the writing? Any more lines like my own personal vengeance, as Leo Vader wisely pointed out a long time ago?
Yeah, there's one sequence where he's talking to Yuri, the police chief, and they have this shtick where he's the Spider Cop. He's pretending he's Spider Cop, and he does this for a long time in the game, where he does it in a gravelly voice too.
Okay.
I'm Spider Cop.
He does,
and Yuri hates it. Like the best part is Yuri's just like, oh my god, he's doing this again. But as a player, you're like, okay, this is dumb. I'm with Yuri on this. This is silly. Then he just keeps going. And then the next mission starts, and he's still doing it.
Okay.
Is it like Christian Bale from Batman? Like that kind of...
I mean, he's not getting that low, but yeah, he's definitely doing that.
Any concerns about the amount of quips coming from Spider-Man at this point? I'm mining here. I'm mining. It's not going to be annoying.
I don't think so.
Who's a funny character in video games who isn't annoying? Like genuinely funny and trying to be funny all the time.
Wheatley.
There you go. That's
Portal
the
2.
one character.
We've done it once, ladies and gentlemen.
I will say I did laugh out loud a couple of times. There's some legitimately good jokes in there.
Okay.
Or things that Spider-Man fans will pick up on and be like, whoa, what are you teasing? Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Very exciting.
But yeah, be excited. Like that's the message of my article is be excited.
Bold headline.
Be very excited.
That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.